Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Monday night at 7 o'clock p.m. sharp. My name is Andre Anderson. I'm both host and founder of BSTL. And don't get sidetracked by that face. He's going to talk in the next few minutes, and that's going to be very interesting. And the only reason why I'm saying it that way is because we're trying something new this evening. We're going to do a little bit of a video and a little bit of an audio on the podcast, and I think it's going to be all right. So, of course, I hope you're keeping well. The weather is fantastic. I mean, I'm excited. Yeah, it's been raining a little bit, but now it's beginning to get warmer, and I like warm weather. I'm not really looking forward to summer per se, but I do like the fact that we're not shoveling anymore. So, of course, if you haven't done so yet, please remember to like, subscribe, and share because we want to make sure that this conversation is going all over the world. I'm so excited. You should see some of the countries that we're beginning to bump into as people are getting involved in these conversations about leadership. So what can I say? I am excited. And let me tell you why I'm excited. Um, I've got a childhood friend who is still a grown-up friend. That could be wrestled with in terms of the concept. Um, but Sheldon, Isaac, and we go way back. We've been playing basketball at the same court since we were 12 and 13. I made most of my shots. He sat on the edge for most of his shots. And so it doesn't matter. We're all grown up now, and he's a fantastic human being. He was fantastic as kids, and he's even a better grown up now. And so, Sheldon, please go ahead and say hi to our listeners and maybe viewers now.
Absolutely. Thanks for the intro. Slightly skewed in your favor, which could be erroneous, but it's all good. But yes, the most important part is childhood friends, and it's good to see us thriving as men and husbands now. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to talk about leadership.
Yeah, so one of the things that I have been doing, Sheldon, as we've gone through the podcast, I said this before we came live. I don't really love reading people's bios because they really are snapshots of the best of you, and most of us would never put on our bios the worst of who we are. So what I would like to do is give you an opportunity to maybe share one or two things briefly about yourself, whether professionally or even your private life. It's entirely up to you, but at least those that are listening and or watching, they're going to get a sense of who you are through this conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks. So I'm a husband, a father, I'm a believer. I love my to watch sports. I celebrate my New York Knicks and my Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm a photographer who is helping businesses present the best version of themselves online. Online marketing is huge right now, and I am the conduit that helps to get people looking great, feeling great, and pushing themselves out there so they can get leads and make money.
And even though we're doing this through the podcast, maybe you can just do this. Tell us what your website is or how people can reach you, because one of the things that we're also doing on this platform is we want to really give people, entrepreneurs, a good push to get some business out there. And I know that your pictures are fantastic, and I feel like because of this plug, it may pay off for me deeply at some point, or not. Either way, go ahead and tell everybody.
Yeah, I mean it's a tall order to be able to try and rescue a photo of you, but the wonders of Photoshop will definitely bring you through. No worries. I can take care of you. But anyway, I can be found online. I
Yeah,
focus most of my marketing efforts on LinkedIn. I know
yeah.
some of you are scratching your heads, but that's where I get a lot of my business. So
Hmm.
my business is my name, Sheldon Isaac Images, but on LinkedIn, you look up Sheldon A. Isaac and you will find me. On Instagram, I'm my business name, Sheldon Isaac Images, no spaces. And then you can find my Facebook page with related content under Sheldon Isaac Images as well. And yeah, those are the big three that I focus on. And my website is
Hmm.
my name, sheldonisaac.com.
All right, cool. So let's jump right into it, Sheldon. And I know that this is going to be a great conversation. We've had many great conversations. As a matter of fact, we had a really good one right before we went live today. But We want to talk about leading through the lens. This is a podcast that is dedicated to empowering leaders, right? So one of the things that we're now beginning to understand, and I don't want to tell them how old you are, but I'm in my late 40s now, and you're 1 year older than me, despite the youthful look, right? But the reality is we don't share enough best business practices from a leadership perspective, right? And so this podcast, we're hoping to make sure that we're helping all kinds of leaders, whatever layers they have, wherever they're leading, not leading, even if they're aspiring to become leaders, we want to make sure that we're giving them a good push through BSTL. So, of course, one of the things that you do, and it's not the only thing, but it's the thing that we're highlighting today. Of course, you are a photographer, and I'm hoping I'm using the right name. And if you guys go and check him out, like the pictures are incredible. But you're an entrepreneur, and but doesn't negate what I've said. Maybe I should have said, and you are an entrepreneur. And of course, because you work for yourself, you have to manage yourself. That's one side of the conversation. But the other side of the conversation is because I know that you do a lot of corporate engagements, private functions, you are constantly you are behind the lens, meaning that you get to see more than the photo that comes through Photoshop. And so we want to have a little bit of a conversation on both sides. So let's start off by talking about what this thing has looked like for you as an entrepreneur.
Well, it's been an amazing journey. Honestly, I'm highly blessed that I get to do a job that I love and I
Hmm.
still love.
Yeah.
Been shooting for 15 years, but been full time for 6. And what it looks like for me, it gives me a chance to see people at a point in time, hopefully, where they're optimistic either about the future,
Hmm.
they're living their best life right now, or they're
Hmm.
trying to get back on track,
Hmm.
and they need my help to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting journey, especially being an entrepreneur. I'm my
Hmm.
own boss. you
Yes.
know I I know we're gonna dive into self-regulation
Yeah. Yeah.
and what keeps me going and that type of thing, but entrepreneurs, we live an interesting life, and a lot of times people are entrepreneurs because they're doing what they love, right?
Hmm.
Just no disrespect to those who are working 9 to 5s,
Hmm.
working for other people,
Yeah.
but a lot of the times they might be doing jobs that they don't love.
Hmm. So, okay, number one, let's talk about this self-regulation thing. Okay, I think that it's clear, and anybody that's ever worked with you, they know that you are passionate about what you do, and I know that everything that you push out, it is excellent. I've seen some headshots. Let me give Steve Allert another plug. I saw his headshots, but I've seen a whole bunch of them, so I know that you're not just taking photos; you are capturing the character of the person that is in front of the lens. But in terms of self-regulation, that's got to be difficult at times, right? You don't have anybody saying, hurry up and finish, but you know that you've got to stick to some hard deadlines.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Steve. I mean, it's an interesting thing to see our friends doing some big things.
Yeah.
But with self-regulation, it's sometimes you just look around, really.
Hmm.
And I got my 2 daughters. They're
Hmm.
both teenagers now.
Yeah.
I have a wife.
Hmm.
I'm a dog dad,
Hmm.
which you may not know, but
I know about the
so
dog.
a lot of times, like most of the time, those are my whys.
Yeah.
My wife, she is a wonderful woman. She's got her
Hmm.
own work, but we want to make sure that the family's, you know, doing well,
Yeah.
thriving. I just mentioned this to my wife yesterday, thriving and not just surviving.
Right.
And that means some days you don't want to do some things. Some
Right.
days maybe I don't want to have, 3 meetings back to back.
Yes.
I'd rather just edit photos and just relax, or I'd rather be on a fun photo shoot. But, you know, being an entrepreneur, you're responsible for many hats.
Hmm.
And a lot of them aren't always fun. And you don't always want to even do the fun things.
Hmm.
Like I've recently changed my business over.
Okay.
I used to do, weddings and a lot of portraits and
Yeah.
that type of thing. But I've moved More to the business side, the corporate side, where I now I'm focused on headshots,
Good for you.
branding photos, and event photos.
Yeah.
And a lot of times an event, it requires a lot of time, a lot of
Yes.
gear, and you got to deal with traffic, and there's things that you don't really want to deal
Yes.
with respect to the job. But I look around, I see my whys. I see
Hmm.
those kids who want to eat, they want clothing, they want
Yes.
stuff,
Yes.
computers,
Yeah.
and I want to make sure I'm taking care of that. So things like that keep me pushing, and
Hmm.
and I just want to live a good life. I've been blessed to have a great life,
Yeah.
and you don't need things to live a
Hmm.
good life, but you
Yeah.
want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You want to be able to do things. My family likes to go on vacation, and
Yeah.
vacations aren't free unless you're going to Malvern, right? So
That's
you,
right.
you gotta
Malvern Town Center. Taco Bell.
right.
Hmm.
So it costs money. It
Yeah.
costs money to live, and you just want to make sure that you're pushing yourself to get better, do what you're doing, and also too, I take a lot of pleasure about seeing business owners doing well because of
Hmm.
something I help them with.
Yeah.
I may not be doing it all, but
Hmm.
providing them with awesome photos, awesome
Yes.
videos
Yes.
of their business, of their brand, helping them, really be seen. That's
Yes.
a big push for me as well.
Yeah.
That gets me going. That keeps me happy as well.
And I'm hearing you say, Sheldon, the importance of this passion piece, right? So I hear you've already said you have your whys, right? One, two, three, and somewhere the dog is somewhere there, right? So
He's up there.
he's up there, right? But the
He's up
reality is that the passion has to drive you. So I know that even when we were younger, you've always had the camera around you. But making that transition from just taking pictures because it's your passion to now saying, I'm not going to do the 9 to 5. I mean, I may have to do more hours than 9 to 5, but these are my 9 to 8s or my 9 to 9s.
there.
How important is the passion in keeping you going when you're exhausted? And I'm sure that you miss some things, right? There's got to be some ballet stuff or some dance stuff. I've seen, some of that on Instagram online. There's some things that you miss, but legitimately the miss is so that you can kind of plan for another thing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, please?
Absolutely. There's lots that I miss. My kids are active.
Hmm.
Um, and it's not just missing, a dance recital or anything. For the most part, I can schedule around those. My wife and I have synced our Google calendars, so nothing really should get missed. And for me, I control my destiny a lot of the times, unless
Hmm.
it's an event with a hard date.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's a branding shoot, it doesn't have to be when I'm doing stuff with the family.
Hmm.
And we're very deliberate about special days. We have taco night on Wednesday and movie night with pizza. I make pizzas on Fridays.
Nice.
Um, but sure, there's lots I've missed.
Hmm.
Long days. Um, but that's also too part of the reason why I got out of doing weddings as
Hmm.
much. I'll still do weddings if something comes, but I don't
Sure.
advertise it.
Hmm.
But I was away from the kids for a while.
Yeah.
Every Saturday, I'm gone
Oh, wow.
for 12 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
And, it's left to my wife to carry them where they're going, or I just can't see them.
Yeah.
Right. So, my whole goal is to use the vehicle of the freedom that entrepreneurship gives
Yeah.
to be able to spend more time with my family. So in a weird way,
Yeah.
yes, I'm sometimes I'm working late
Hmm.
and I'm in my office in the basement working.
Hmm.
But it still gives me the freedom to take time. If the kids come home, I like to greet them at the door. How
Hmm.
was your day? Talk to them.
Yeah.
Teenagers don't always want to talk, right? They're
Sure.
too busy
Yeah,
with
yeah, 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 yeah.
this
The
thing.
text message
So
is real, yeah.
yeah, it's real. I've missed a lot, but I've gained a lot because I've been home. I'm the first one home. I've been able to coach my daughter's soccer teams. I've
Nice.
coached her basketball team.
Hmm.
Um, I've been able to be the dance dad. At
Mm.
one point, I was the only dad
Hmm.
at the dance, and I was kind of feeling weird because it was all ladies, but they
Yeah.
welcomed me in, luckily.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that entrepreneurship has provided a freedom while I have been, you know, trying to balance the act of being there as a dad, as a
Yeah.
husband, and in a lot of cases as a friend as well, right? So there's benefits, but just keep even kill. And I talked to my wife. We like I said, we have that synced Google calendar,
Hmm.
and nothing should get missed.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I like the way that you've spun it, and I don't think that you're being disingenuous. For as many things as you've missed, it has also created other opportunities when you can be there.
Oh yeah.
But I'm sure that not just as an entrepreneur, because I think that even people that work from 9 to 5 for somebody else, there are some struggles. And the struggles are like, what do you do when you want to do something, but you've got this project that is pending? That has to be stressful. But for you, it's a different level of stress because I would imagine that when you put something down on your desk, it sits right there. There isn't perhaps another person that now comes and says, this is phase one, I've got to do phase two, and so on and so forth. How are you making it all work? How are you making it all come together aside from the syncing of the calendars, aside from the meeting at the door? How are you self-regulating to the point now where you're able to get a whole bunch of stuff done and still be present? What did you have
Ah,
to do? Yeah.
great question. So I actually have a business coach, and I've
Okay.
had another business coach previously.
Mm-hmm.
And what they got me to do is write out my processes. Write out your sales process, your editing and work process. And, when you have things written out, it helps you go through and stay on track.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you look at the big picture because I'm an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur. I'm the CEO as
Mm-hmm.
well as the guy on front lines answering phones.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have everything written out, you use softwares
Mm-hmm.
to get where you're going. Software is a big part of my business. I pay a lot of subscriptions for things
Okay.
that help me get my job done quicker,
Mm-hmm.
more efficiently.
Yeah.
My business coach currently for Focus 31, that's his business name. He has a software that I go in every single week and I have to put in all of my targets, what I'm working on, what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing, what I am looking to do,
Mm-hmm.
all of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and also set dates and deadlines, which I sometimes I hate. So,
Ah.
and that's what helps keep me on track
Yeah.
business wise with
Yeah.
everything I'm doing.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that because, the reality is in order to accomplish something, there has to be a start time and an end time. Like everything about life has a deadline. But does that squeeze some of the joy out? Or is that kind of what allows you again to be present, right? Because I would imagine that if you know that you've got to finish this thing at 5 p.m., and I don't know if much has changed because I remember we were all hustling down that high school hallway, 5 minutes late for class and 5 minutes late for some of
Always.
those, and I'm sure that sometimes you still got to battle with the younger you. How are you making sure that you're doing better now because you've got a bigger plate, more responsibility? What's that looking like for you?
Well, you know what? Like a lot of times it's just passing on work that you may not want to do, or if there's way to hire people to do certain things. For example,
Hmm.
I hate doing the books. I
Okay.
hate The only thing I do well is invoicing and sending sales receipts. Other than that,
Right.
taxes are the bane of my existence. My
Sure.
wife will tell you.
Yeah.
So you get an accountant, right? You get an
Yeah.
accountant. I wanted to make sure that my business ran smoothly.
Yeah.
I got a business coach, second round of a business coach.
Nice.
So things like that. Yes, I feel the squeeze. I feel the pressure.
Yeah.
You know what, Andre? Honestly,
Yeah.
trying different methods
Mm.
to get to an end goal is a big part of it. So,
Okay.
for example,
Mm-hmm.
I um I looked it up on YouTube and I saw that there some people who are experts in productivity will tell you time blocking is something that they do. And
Mm-hmm.
so I tried time blocking.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I felt the squeeze of I got one more minute to finish
Mm-hmm.
something that I said this morning I was going to finish,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough because I started cheating by going over time. But, they also said give yourself flex time.
Yeah.
You don't just cut one project and
Sure.
go to the next.
Yeah.
Give yourself 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Whether some people will use it to go down a rabbit hole
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram or
Yeah.
catch up on
Sure.
scores,
Yeah.
or you are over time on that last project.
Sure.
So time blocking has been one thing that has helped me sort of stay in focus. But one thing I've had to change is not be specific with it. I
Okay.
have been actually, instead of saying I'm gonna do Andre's branding photos from 5 o'clock till 6 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got to switch, I'll just say if I have a 3 hour time where I
Yeah.
need to do those,
Mm-hmm.
I got 3 hours. I just call it projects.
Ah.
And in those projects, I'll list off. So one might take me 45, one might take me 2 hours, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it'll give me some freedom with regard to getting stuff done.
Yeah. So I want to pivot now, um, because I think that there is something mysterious and really good about being behind the camera. I've got some other friends that do the cinema stuff, of course, video stuff, and of course, the photography things. There's a lot of different layers to this thing. One of the things I'm curious about is, as an entrepreneur who works for other people, even though it's your business, I think you identify and see things behind the camera that you probably never shared. You know, some shots that you took that were so intense that you had to delete them because they might have been too intrusive in terms of what you captured. How are you, or maybe here's the better question, from a leadership perspective, what are you learning behind the lens? So not just the invoices, not just the final headshot, the branding. What are you also learning about leadership as you are invited to be a part of something that somebody has created, a concept, a vision, a wedding, a corporate space? What are you learning from that angle?
Oh my goodness. Like I've been in so many interesting situations,
Mm-hmm.
both, high level CEOs all the way down to people who are just getting started with a
Mm-hmm.
brand.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned is you get a look at how they run their business
Mm-hmm.
based on just how they treat their employees.
Mm.
So there's
Okay.
been a time where I was, working with someone who was pretty high up the corporate ladder, and they basically were running an event. And even though things were stressful,
Mm-hmm.
things were not a little bit, they were behind schedule. I
Yeah.
show up early to set myself up, set up my gear. I was actually shooting a corporate video at this point. And just to see the CEO come early, delegate, keep a level head, and not worry about anything. And it was just, I just really admired how she did that, looking at the situation where the event's going to be late. And
Yeah.
I know she hates being late.
Yeah.
She's the most organized person I know.
Yeah.
Um, so, you get a glimpse into if she can be um, that calm
Yeah.
under fire.
And measured.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
what will they be like to work for? I'm
Yeah.
just dealing with one night,
Yeah.
and it's a high stress night. But
Yeah.
when they're looking at not making revenues, and
Mm-hmm.
and people leaving the job, or people getting sick and whatever it is, or they got to downsize,
Yeah.
how do they handle those other big things? But so it's given me a look at how they relate to each other, and not only that, how they treat me
Yeah.
as the photographer. I've
Yeah.
I've done some weddings where they talk about bridezillas,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I just remember one where this bride was, I don't know what happened, but she was already in a bad mood to start the day.
Right.
And I was actually helping out another photographer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my first time meeting her. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the pre-meetings were like, but she was
Sure.
already stressed. And
Yeah.
she went out onto the deck to do some photos with me, and she stepped and her heel got wedged in between the wood.
Okay.
I thought the wedding was going to be done.
Oh
I
wow.
thought that was it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the shoe was damaged,
Sure.
and it was like, these shoes were expensive.
Sure.
But, she's frustrated. She's already
Yeah.
frustrated.
Yeah.
And she started to be snippy with her mom. She
Yeah.
wasn't snippy with me,
Mm-hmm.
but the point is that, when you're there taking pictures of people, I'm not just snapping candidates.
Yeah.
I arrange groups of people. I
Sure.
put people together. I
Yeah.
suggest things based on what they've told me they want.
Yes.
So, if they start getting, they're annoyed and they can't handle it, and,
Yeah.
it makes the shoot, it loses its luster.
Yeah.
And then you get a real sense of how they might be when they're pressure filled situations, right?
So let me ask you this question then. So I think we've started with the high point, the
Mm.
importance of how you treat people as leaders. I think that's the thing, right? Because our greatest resources are not the camera, it's the people behind it, the ones that are taking the shots. And I don't care what AI is going to be able to do in the next couple of years or weeks or months, because I mean, that thing is taking over. But the reality is, how we treat people is important. So that's the high side of things. And I think a lot of us as leaders know that, it's your network is your wealth, right? The people that you
Mhm.
have around you that are helping to support you or even giving you the referrals to be in spaces that you otherwise would not be in. Fine, we get that. But on the flip side of things, I think it's also important to highlight what are some of the things that you've seen behind the lens of things that we have to be very careful of. So, yep, human resources up there, one or two maybe. Organizational things, one or two. But there's some things that we can miss. What are those? What are some of the things that you've seen behind the camera?
Things you can miss are when people, if your product, let's just say you have a luxury product,
Mm-hmm.
and if anytime you sell that, you're making a lot of money. Hopefully, your margins are good.
Mm-hmm.
When you have some leaders that are selling a high-end product, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, product or service, but they know the importance of marketing, yet they devalue photography. It's
Mm.
frustrating.
Okay.
I don't mind people asking me, why does it cost so much to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Why does this? Because I have no problem explaining the reason.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, a lot of people just don't value photography.
Mm.
They don't value videography.
Mm.
And they look at the cost and they're just like, whoa. What
Yeah.
they're not thinking about is what they're going to get as a return.
Sure. Long term.
Sometimes short term.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if I were to go and do a branding shoot for someone
Mm-hmm.
and they want some video and we do some video and they use it for promotions, and if they get started on that promotional train on
Mm-hmm.
free social media or
Yes.
paid ads, they
Yeah.
can see an uptick on in views. Their phone starts ringing. They start getting DMs, right?
Right.
People sliding into their DMs,
Yeah.
hoping to do business or just get information.
Yeah.
And if they don't see that literally, if they spend this amount to get
Yes.
this amount
It's
because
worth
their
it.
product is
Yeah.
worth that and multiples of that,
Sure.
it's just a little frustrating.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you said that, right? Because I think that the struggle for entrepreneurs is, here you are calling me because you've either seen or heard of the work that I do, whoever that may be. And right away we move right to, how much is this going to cost? And we haven't even taken a look at what is it that you actually need. Like, you're asking me to do this thing because clearly you are in the deficit. And I think that that's the struggle for entrepreneurs, because people think that, well, why should we give them more? Because I've already determined what it's worth. But good for you, Sheldon, because it sounds to me like, regardless of how people are feeling about what your work is worth, you're clear on what your work is worth.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you this, it doesn't when I do a meeting, a
Mm-hmm.
business meeting where we're going to talk about everything. Um, I don't start off with price. And
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, a lot of people don't start off with price. I am about finding out about what do they need?
Okay.
Where is your problem? I do
Mm-hmm.
my best to listen and offer some insight,
Yeah.
give some value,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can get into pricing. Sometimes it hits. They're like, "Oh my goodness,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what we need." And I know that once we do this, things will get better. I'll
Yeah.
get more of whatever their goal is.
Sure.
But some people, they still don't get it,
Yeah.
even if they have an idea that this is the solution because they came to me,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they just don't see
Mm-hmm.
how the cost that they're paying
Yeah.
will relate to them getting what they want in the end.
Yeah.
But I do make it a point. I just don't throw out a price.
Yeah.
They'd have to be like banging down my door and not
Mm-hmm.
listening to anything if they
Sure.
came and I just gave them price. I don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's not a good fit if that's what you're coming to look for,
Mm-hmm.
because we haven't talked about anything. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. Like
Yeah.
in the past I've had brides just say, just send me the price list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I know where this is going.
Right.
Potentially, sometimes they'll book. They know the price of a wedding, but
Yeah.
it's. Can you imagine? Um, a CEO, or no, not always a CEO, like someone high up in their company that's
Mm-hmm.
coming to me, and they've not inquired any other photographer or videographer. They don't know what these things cost. The price could scare them.
Mm-hmm.
you know if
Right.
they're just trying to kick tires and say, what does it cost?
Yeah.
Just I just want this. How much does it cost? No, we haven't determined. Let me tell you that I've had
Mm-hmm.
conversations with people where they said, you know what, Sheldon, I need a couple of headshots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we talk. By the end of the conversation, they're like, no, 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 I need a branding shoot.
Right.
Because they
Yeah.
didn't know what was out there, or they didn't understand a headshot
Yeah.
is what you're seeing of me right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more than just a headshot. So
Sure.
the value of a conversation, so that
Mm.
I understand what you're looking to get, what your issues are, and then I can accurately tell you what you might need as a suggestion. And then if the price is something that we can both work with, then we go.
So here's the thing, Sheldon. I mean, we've talked about a lot of good things in this conversation, but you said something right here that I'm now going to like put in my deep back pockets. The
Absolutely.
value of the conversation. Um, like, how big is that? And when I say how big is that, it seems like it might be a small thing to somebody that's listening and or watching this thing. But your ability to navigate the conversation is how you arrive at the destination, I would imagine. Um, Add a little bit more, because I can see by the nod, anytime you do the thing with your nose, that means I have one more thing I want to say, Andre. And then after you've said that, I also want you, if you don't mind, giving us the takeaway for you out of this conversation. I
Absolutely.
can't even believe that it went this quickly. It was a great conversation. Go ahead.
It's great. In the past, talking to you was like pulling teeth and nails, but this has been free flowing. So I applaud you at how much you've grown.
Thank you, Sheldon. I appreciate
Same
that.
amount of gray hairs, but you've grown. But no, the value of conversation.
Yeah,
So we're speaking to leaders.
yeah,
We're looking at people who are looking at leading. Can you imagine a leader that doesn't listen?
yeah,
Yes, you might be the CEO. You might have great direction,
yeah,
but you should be hiring people A, you trust,
yeah,
B, you'll listen to,
yeah.
and you'll inquire about, what do you think? You know, we want to expand into the UK.
Nice.
What you're the manager of international, the VP of international relations.
Yeah.
I need to hear from you. I'm not just going to direct. You
Mm-hmm.
want leaders that talk,
Yeah,
uh, provide insight and
yeah.
guidance, but also listen. A
Mm-hmm.
leader that doesn't listen is not
Mm,
really a leader. You might be the boss,
mm,
but you're not the leader.
yeah.
So the value that conversation brings is, everyone hopefully gets their
Yes.
point across. It's like marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You and your wife might have a disagreement,
Mm-hmm.
and fighting fair
Mm-hmm.
means you both listen to each other's point of view, because someone's going to be right, even if no one wants to be wrong, but someone's going to be right,
Mm-hmm.
or someone just might have some insight,
Mm-hmm.
or
The
and
nuances, the nuances in between there. Yeah.
it's a thing, and you want leaders that do that. And me, as the leader of my business,
Yes.
I have to do my due diligence and make sure I completely understand what you are looking for. It's not just pictures.
Mm-hmm.
It's not I don't just do pictures and video.
Yeah.
I'm providing you a way to promote yourself,
Yeah.
so that you can get more leads coming
Mm-hmm.
to you, so that you can sell more. I
Yeah.
am not your salesperson,
Right.
but I am helping your sales process.
Yeah.
So, without
Nice.
knowing exactly, through conversation,
Yes.
directed, guided conversation, which I've had numerous times over the last decade
Yes.
plus, I'm able to hopefully completely understand what they're looking to do, what their pain points are, and how best photography fits in. Sometimes, you know what? It may
Mm-hmm.
not entirely fit because it's not in their budget,
Yeah.
or there might be a way around
Mm-hmm.
figuring out how we can best do it. Sometimes
Sure.
it might be just some advice in the end, right? So
Sure.
you definitely want a leader
Yeah.
who can communicate. Can you imagine? I just can't imagine a leader that not only doesn't want to hear, or just doesn't communicate well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's just it would be chaos in that business.
Yeah. So give us our takeaway, Sheldon. And I hope, and I know you're busy, and I know that maybe I have to find a way into the Google Calendar, whatever it is that you're syncing up with Kathy. But I hope that this is not going to be the last time. because I think one of the things that we're hoping to do is inspire another generation of leaders to lead well. I don't always see it as a compliment when somebody says you lead just like so and so, but so and so is like 40 years ahead of you. Sure, there are attributes, things that you'd like to borrow and take from piecemeal, but ultimately you're always going to be leading at a time that no one else has led before. So we've got to get to you. So Sheldon, I'd love to hear your takeaway from this conversation, or maybe there's something that you'd like to add to that's going to help somebody that's listening to this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. My little bit that I'm going to add, because you mentioned the youth and the next generation of leaders, is, right now they say that there are more young millionaires than in the history of the world.
Mm,
And, Gary V, he always talks about, um, now's the time.
mm,
Now's the time that you can make more money
mm-hmm,
or grow your brand easier and quicker than ever before.
mm-hmm,
And now, since January, we're talking about all this new AI
mm-hmm.
that's coming out.
Sure.
Um, and if we can embrace
Mm-hmm.
AI, it's still very new.
Yeah.
Embrace what it can do for your individual businesses.
Sure.
You can grow.
Yeah.
And now is the time. These
Yeah.
kids, I don't even know. Like when you talk about the old days, your kids
Yeah.
won't understand.
Yeah.
I just threw out probably 50 VHS tapes at my
Mm-hmm.
mom's house on the weekend, and
Sure.
but I looked at each title as
Yeah.
I was throwing, because life wasn't at our fingertips. They have
Yeah.
a computer, a phone, video camera in their
Sure.
fingertips.
Sure.
So you just want to make sure you you know, utilize the AI that's out there and everything that's at your fingertips. Young leaders,
Yeah.
make sure you keep learning, um, and build.
Yeah.
You can network with people
Sure.
older than you across the world
Yes.
with ease nowadays.
Yeah.
It's insane what is available and out there. And also, my message to us older grade up folks is, we're not too old for anything, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you've had gray hair since you were 6, so you understand. Like, don't let it.
How dare you? How dare you?
But my point is, don't let
Yeah.
yourself think that. Don't think that you're too old for anything.
Yeah.
I'm learning new AI every day.
Sure.
We're at the point where we can follow
Mm-hmm.
industry leaders for free. You don't have
Yes.
to buy a thing, or you can buy courses and take courses.
Sure.
But the learning is out there. The learning
Yeah.
is out there. But my key takeaway is, and I really am glad that you mentioned communication,
Yeah.
because as a leader, as I said, I don't want to repeat myself, but you gotta be able to communicate.
Yeah.
So, you know, um, if you need to just take a step back, take a course,
Yeah.
but really think about how you communicate. At one point I was doing some sales training. When I say
Mm-hmm.
sales training, literally, I was on YouTube following this guy,
Yeah.
and I put it into practice with my daily conversations with people.
Sure.
They didn't even know. But my goal was
Yeah.
to be able to ask more questions
Sure.
than speak, because in a discussion,
Yeah.
you want to take in more information
Sure.
than you give. You want to listen more than you speak. So
Yeah.
I was actually putting that into practice, and it was actually fun.
Mm-hmm.
People probably thought, like the people who know me probably thought, why do I keep asking
Yeah,
another
because we
question?
know you. We know you.
Ugh. It's all about growth.
Yes, it
But
is. Yeah.
that is my key takeaway. Let's communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Let's understand each other better,
Yeah.
and let's really, help each other, push each other to get better, and be better people, and make this world a much friendlier place to live.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, Sheldon, thank you so much. I know that you're busy, and I do appreciate you stopping in here and having this conversation. I hope, and it's up to you anyways, that this will not be the last time that we have a conversation, because today we wanted to talk about leading behind the lens. And apparently, with all of these great shots and videos that you're making, what I'm hearing you say is it starts with a conversation. And so maybe that's what we need to figure out. How do we talk with people so that we can help them to see beyond the picture, right? Because it's not just the shot that matters. It's how far the shot takes you. So to those of you that have been listening, I just want to say thank you again. If you have not subscribed, please go bstlinc21@gmail.com. Send an email if you'd like to have a conversation. But definitely you've got to go and check out Sheldon, because one of the things that he does well, and it will be a part of the conversation piece in LinkedIn so that people can find you. But you need a good headshot. You need a good branding thing. But above all things, you've got to know where you're going. And this guy definitely is able to take you to what you have in your mind. So until next time, have a good evening. Hope you've enjoyed it. And please make sure to like, share, or subscribe so that we can keep this conversation flowing and going. Take care. Until next time.